Hey guys, Yankee here, and today I want to be talking about episodes 7 and 8 of Conception. This is my second time trying to get through this. I completely screwed up. Like, my notes are a jumbled mess this time, so I want to try my best. Alright, episode 7. We pick up with Mana sort of talking about opening up like a haunted house, and we learn that the Holy Star Festival is going to be happening soon. The Holy Star Festival is basically a school festival because, in case you don't remember, there is a school here. Itsuki doesn't attend it or anything, but we still have a school that all the girls are supposed to go to, which is odd. It feels tacked on. It feels like it doesn't really need to be there, but we keep going back to it. Even in the game, the school stuff didn't really play much of a role in the original one. In the second game, it was much more important because you were actually a student doing things. But anyway, the Holy Star Festival is happening. And then Mana sort of explains what that is, and then Itsuki is bumped into by Tora. Tora is a delivery girl, one of the 12 Star Maidens. What is it? Tauros? Tauros? Is that right? I just think of the Pokemon. She's the cow one. And she gives Itsuki a letter. Keep Tora in mind, we're going to come back to her. But the first half of this episode is finishing off Colette's story. So last episode, it ended with Colette's grandfather approaching Colette, giving her recipes or whatever. And the first half of this episode about is Colette, with Itsuki's help, trying to create a bread that her grandfather made called Happy Bread. He's old, he can't remember what it was. So they're just guessing, they don't even have a clue. They're just trying their best to recreate it. And they're just making a bunch of bread shaped like body parts. The first one is an ear. Okay, and the second one is obviously a penis. And it's just silly, and it gets there's one that's oh, no, this isn't genitals, it's a clam. Don't worry, but also we still have to censor it for TV. We can't show that. So it's silly. They're just making different kinds of bread. And then eventually they discover what Happy Bread was. And it was a piece of bread with sausage in the middle. And then we get this really goofy scene of Colette holding the bread as Itsuki inserts the sausage into it. Beautiful. This is how love stories are told, people. No, this whole thing with them making bread is just silly and fun and enjoyable, but it's a little... it's really goofy. But then after that, Colette is going to be selling these Happy Breads at the festival. And we don't really get much focus on the festival, right? We see their stall set up. We get a few shots of what other characters are doing. Lilith and Lily are doing a comedy routine as they switch between each other. What is her name? Alfie is handing out flyers. She's going to be performing a concert later. We see Aerie doing handing out the little water balloon yo-yo things. So we get a quick bounce around, and then we have Mahiru and Yuzuha, excuse me, who show up right next to Itsuki and Colette, and they are selling the lunch packs for Femiruna's family's company. And they just have we're gonna see who can sell the most. And that's all well and good, but we don't really see much of that. It's not a big focus. We're gonna compete to see who can sell the most. Oh, Colette and Itsuki sold out, and we have a whole bunch because we got trucks bringing them in. And so some of the stuff here, I don't really understand why it was here. It doesn't really feel that important. The food pack stuff feels like it's just okay, we introduced this, let's bring it up a little. And so I don't really get why the whole let's compete thing was there. But eventually Yuzuha and Mahiru do sell out of the lunch packs, and they open up a new attraction, and it's a panty grabbing game where there's just a table full of panties, and you get timed and you see how many you can grab. And this is silly, and I probably would have not even brought it up if it wasn't important. So Nar, for the last few episodes, has been trying to figure out what is going on with the dungeon. Every once in a while, like, it just, like, trembles and shakes the city. And so he's trying to figure out what's going on. And he starts the panty-picking game. And he's just going, grabbing as many as he can. He gets to 12, he gets to 13, and then he stops. 13. And then he runs off. And we're going to come back to that next episode. But, so that's Colette. We made bread. We sold bread. We did the love ritual. And that's that for her. Next is on to Tora. So Mana set up her haunted house. While she was trying to get that going, Tora, again, came rushing in with a delivery and crashed into it, ruining the whole thing. And then Mana was forced to open up a new stall, which I think was a fortune-telling stall, but she didn't really do any fortune readings, and just ended up talking to Tora. And we get sort of an explanation of she is a disciple of another delivery person, and she's just unable to keep up. And her problem is she's in too much of a rush to deliver the letter she has that she ends up stumbling and crashing into things, and basically her rush is causing her to be slower at her job. And that's basically her entire character. She really cares about letters, and she has this thing where somebody's heart and soul went into this letter. I have to treat it with care and get it to the person it's supposed to go to as fast as I can. And that's great. And then Itsuki shows up to Mana and gets kidnapped and is forced to do basically a crash course on being a delivery person. And then after that, he goes and bumps into Tora, who has lost the letter and is searching for it. He helps her find it, and then he helps her deliver all the mail she needed to deliver. And then they do the love ritual. Cool. Not a lot for Tora in this episode. Like, some girls really do suffer, and I wish I had finished the game at this point, so I could talk about, like, how different they were. Like, I do remember this being basically Tora's story in the game, where, again, she's a delivery person. She rushes too much, which causes her to slow down in the end. And she's trying to get to the same level as her master, right? She's an apprentice trying to learn, and she's trying to get there. I kind of remember that, but I don't, like, obviously it wasn't that rushed, so all these stories get, like, squeezed in so quick that they don't really have any breathing room, and some girls suffer a lot more than others. Tora is one of them. She didn't really stand out. Colette got 2 episodes, basically. So she stands out a lot. Like, even the goofy stuff with her making the inappropriate breads. Like, I remember that. The weird puns she's making, I remember that. I don't really remember a whole lot about Tora. But that's it for this episode. Episode 8. This was a fun one. It's basically a parody of The Bachelor. I've never seen The Bachelor, so I don't really understand how the show works. But just that setup for this, it made sense for this show, and it seemed like something that Mana would actually try and set up. And it's just, like, really fun. The 2 girls for this episode are Sue and Mireille, and they're the last 2. We've gone through all 12 at this point after this episode, but all the girls are here competing in the competition. And Itsuki is basically picking girls to go on dates with and trying to get closer to them for the love ritual, obviously. So the first girl of the episode is Sue, who likes to take care of animals. And through, like, the first half of this episode, we learned that what are they called? Impurities, a while ago, basically got into town and killed her parents. They were protecting her and hugging her. So that's Sue's story. Like, again, really short. We don't get a lot of time to focus on it. So her parents are dead, and now she's taking care of animals, and they're sort of like her new family. And that's it. Also, the way to like move on to the next round in this The Bachelor parody is he gives like some sort of sushi to them, and then we get like a Food Wars style they eat the food and they have a food orgasm thing for some reason. After Sue's part of the episode, we go on to Mireille, and for Mireille, she doesn't get just like a single date right away. She has to compete for it. And how does she compete for it? She has to do the game that I haven't seen it in anything, but I've seen clips of it online, where it's just like steps, and they're like slippery, and whoever gets to the top first wins. And it's silly, and it's fun, and it was something I actually knew, so it was fun to see. A lot of problems with this show comes to how short it is. So like the stair thing is just like a minute. It doesn't need to be a 5-minute scene, but just a minute of them trying to get up the stairs felt a bit short. But Mireille wins in the end, and we learn that she is a researcher. And that's it. That's basically her character. That was basically it in the game from what I remember. And like I didn't get very far with her, but she didn't have like anything in this episode. They got like a little date at like a hot tub with Itsuki, and that was it. And then we go on to the love ritual. Like there were more dates in between. We get little glimpses at them, but at the end, Sue and Mireille won, and the prize for the winner of those two is the ultimate love ritual. But Mana has a better idea. Nobody said the ultimate love ritual had to be done with only one girl. So we're getting another a double love ritual, right? So we get Mireille and Sue paired up. Again, just like when Farhan and what is her name? Rione, they got their double love ritual. They were kind of squeezed into a tight episode 2 where they didn't really get much to shine. Sue definitely came out of this episode a lot better than Mireille did, but like at the end I don't really remember anything. Like Mireille is a researcher, and she brought like an aphrodisiac to the love ritual, and that's it. And then at the end of the episode we get to see Nar, and he has called everyone to the castle, and they are talking about how they found a 13th dungeon, like a 13th level in the dungeon. And that's basically the end. There's a 13th one that you have to defeat. And Mana brings up that if there's a 13th dungeon, then there must be a 13th Star Maiden. And that's sort of where it ends. It's pretty clear who it is. It's Alfie. She was in the OP of this episode, suddenly. She got a good bit of focus this episode as well, where I think it was this episode where she had a conversation with Itsuki about how like he's going to go home soon, and that's sort of the most interaction, not the most interaction she's had with him all season, but like the most significant one. And then at the end of the episode we get a new ED sung by Alfie's voice actress. So that's it for 7 and 8. I like the setup of 8 a lot, but I think the girls didn't really get much to do in it. We're getting close to the end. We're over halfway through. It's still fun. I'm still enjoying it a lot. I'm going to be honest, I don't really remember a whole lot about what's going on now. Like, I remember the opening half of this show pretty well, but like, I remember Colette's stuff in this episode, but I don't remember anything about Tora or this Bachelor episode, so it was fun to see. And I'm excited to get to the 13th Star Maiden. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.